Hey everybody, it's me, your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, and this is continuing my collaboration with Carl Cook discussing some horror movie superlatives throughout the 80s. We're up to 1983 today, and a quick recap on what we're doing. Carl and I are going through each year of the 80s and picking out some horror movie superlatives for each year. The categories we're choosing are Most Amazing, So Bad It's Good, WTF Movie, Best Gore, Most Unique, Most Overrated, and Most Underrated. We don't know what films the other person is picking, and we have one rule: you can't use a movie more than once, and of course, we've had to have seen the movies that we are selecting. And after you watch this video, I need you to go over to Carlin's channel. A link will be in the description to his channel. And then after you watch his, go to the community tab on his channel, and he'll have a poll up, and we need everybody to vote on who they thought had the better picks, where those picks most closely resemble yours, or whoever you thought had the better justification. Doesn't matter how you want to do it, we just need everybody to vote. Also, let us know in the comments down below what your picks are. We're having a lot of fun reading those comments, and we're really enjoying ourselves. So, everybody, sit back, relax, and let's pick out some horror movie superlatives for 1983. My selection for the most amazing horror movie to come out in 1983 is Sleepaway Camp. This is an excellent early 80s slasher. It's a lot of fun. It does involve a camp, and it revolves around a young girl, Angela, who's getting really relentlessly picked on and bullied at this camp, but everybody's picking her, starts winding up dead, and we don't know who the killer is. And that's all I'm going to say, because if you haven't seen this movie and you don't know the ending, please go watch this movie, and the ending will knock your socks off. It's one of the greatest endings, the most WTF endings in the history of horror that I really love. It's got a wild group of characters, from the campers to the camp counselors to the cook, everything. It's got really solid gore, pretty good, pretty great acting as well. Really great horror movie, and I definitely think you should check it out if you haven't already. And if you've seen this movie, I hope you can understand why I picked this movie as the most amazing horror movie to come out in 1983. My selection for the So Bad It's Good movie to come out in 1983, this might be a little bit controversial, but I went with Amityville 3D. There are dozens and dozens of Amityville movies, and this is in the top 5 of, the really good ones in the film. The first 3 are pretty solid films, and they are all based on BS with the Warrens and their con artists. But what I like about this movie is it's about a couple who is debunking the BS of ghosts inside the Amityville house. The 3D is kind of wonky, it's kind of silly, but you do have Meg Ryan and Lori Loughlin in this movie before she had her law issues. They have some really silly and funny conversations.
Do you know you could have sex with a ghost?
Really?
Yeah, really. I've been reading up on it.
It's not a bad movie. It's not a good movie, but I just selected as So Bad It's Good because it's a fun movie. It's silly. There are scenes that are supposed to be taken seriously, but you kind of laugh on it. And like I said, it's about this couple trying to debunk the BS about ghosts living inside the Amityville house. And if you've seen it, you know what happens. You see at the very end that flies really are scary. It's a silly movie, and when you compare it to the rest of the other Amityville films, it's in the top tier. I personally like Amityville 2 Possession the best, but this movie's right up there with definitely one of the better Amityville films. My selection for the WTF movie is Mausoleum. This movie's about a young woman who gets possessed by a demon on her 20th birthday, and this is the same demon that killed her mother. It's low budget, it's funny, it's an exploitation film, and this film was actually on the infamous Video Nasties list that came out in the 80s. If you've seen this movie, you probably know why I selected it for WTF, because there are a lot of WTF moments in this movie, and the gardener alone can earn this movie the title of WTF. Now, when I was making my list, I had, I've seen Mausoleum. So, but then when I rewatched it, look and say, hey, what clips can I use, to enforce my pick? The tagline written on Shudder actually says, in this WTF shocker, a demonic force takes possession of a woman on her 20th birthday. Did not know that when I selected this movie for the WTF movie. The kills are crazy. It's a fun movie. It's silly, especially when you see the young woman who's possessed and her eyes start glowing green. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It is on Shudder. It's a fun movie, and if you watch it, I hope you'll agree with me that definitely is a good candidate for the WTF movie of 1983. My selection for the best gore movie to come out in 1983, Videodrome. David Cronenberg, his name is synonymous with body horror, and you get such great special effects in this movie done by the infamous Rick Baker, who also did the effects for An American Werewolf in London, which was my pick for 1981 for best gore. He also did the effects for The Incredible Melting Man, which is a wild movie. This video is no different. It was also on the Video Nasties list. What I love about the gore in this movie is with the videotapes and the TV, they're made to actually look alive. When James Woods' character, reaches into his stomach with the gun, it looks so visceral, so real. When the one guy puts the videotape into James Woods' stomach, just that open wound just looks incredible. David Cronenberg, Rick Baker, just watching this movie, you'll see these are some of the best gore effects you'll see in horror. I also could have selected this movie for most underrated because I don't think enough people really talk about it. But it definitely has some of the best gore effects you'll see in 1983. My selection for the most unique movie of 1983, this one was kind of difficult because when you look at the list of all the horror movies that came out in 1983, nothing really jumped out at me as unique, except for this movie. But I went with A Blade in the Dark by Lamberto Bava. To me, I think giallo films are unique. There's an art form to it, and Bava is one of the greatest. This was really the only giallo movie to come out in 1983, and like I said, I think giallo movies are unique. There's a real art form to the way they shoot their films, and Bava does such an excellent job with these wide open hallways and the lighting when people are walking through them. It really builds like tension, and it adds a lot to the scene. And you see that with giallo. There's a reason for every shot. The cinematography is it's necessary for every shot that they make. And I think giallo films, they're very, very special. They're so good. And I think shooting a giallo film is unique. And A Blade in the Dark is an excellent movie. It's one of my favorite giallo films out there. My selection for the most overrated horror movie to come out in 1983, I went with Twilight Zone the movie. I liked this movie as a kid. I did, but that was before I learned about the tragedy surrounding this movie with one of the stories where actor Vic Morrow and two young kids were killed in this horrific helicopter accident. Ever since I found that out, I found it difficult to watch this movie. And I was really appalled when I found out that they still kept that story in the movie instead of just shelving it and like, let's fill out some other stories. But no, they still put that, that story in this movie. And to me, that was kind of a disgusting thing to do. John Landis has made some really great movies. He did American Werewolf in London, but I really can't ever recommend Twilight Zone the movie knowing what happened on it. If you've seen these videos, I normally put in, a couple second clips of all these movies, but I really didn't even want to do that for Twilight Zone the movie because I really don't want to cause any more attention to it. I can't watch it again, once I learned years ago, so that's why I selected Twilight Zone the movie as the most overrated horror movie to come out in 1983. And finally, my selection of the most underrated horror movie to come out in 1983, I had to go with Christine. I love this movie. This is one of my favorite John Carpenter films, right behind The Thing and Halloween. And it's actually my favorite Stephen King adaptation. This is an excellent movie. It's got so much going for it. The directing is incredible. The score, it's one of my favorite scores that John Carpenter has ever done. Anytime he does a score for a movie, you're going to get something extremely well put together. And Keith Gordon's role as Arnie, he almost does two roles in his movie. He's got lovable nerd Arnie, and then he buys Christine, becomes obsessed with this car, and then he slowly descends into this evil, sadistic villain. So he does a great job almost playing dual roles. And the special effects in this movie are excellent. When you see Christine start to reassemble herself, and then you hear that score right after Arnie says, "Show me." Show me. It's just so well done. I think John Carpenter did an excellent job with this movie because he made a car scary. And when you learn how this movie was made, that, you see the Christine driving when it's on fire and the windows are blacked out. Person was driving the car really could not see what the car was on fire. It's an actually well crafted stunt. I can't say enough good things about this movie. The acting, the score, the directing, the story. Like I said, one of my favorite John Carpenter films, my favorite Stephen King adaptation. I just watched this movie the other day. It's that good. I really can't recommend this movie enough. And, John Carpenter has so many incredible movies. To his credit, Assault at Precinct 13, Escape from New York, of course, The Thing, and Halloween. And this movie really deserves more credit for being an excellent, excellent John Carpenter film. I really can't say enough good things about it. I actually have a replica license plate of the 1958 Plymouth Fury hanging up on my wall, and I love it because I love this movie. And this was probably the easiest selection I had for 1983, and that's why I selected it as my most underrated horror movie to come out in 1983. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Those were my picks, and let's do a quick summary. Most amazing movie, Sleepaway Camp. So Bad It's Good, Amityville 3D. WTF movie, Mausoleum. Best score, David Cronenberg's body horror Videodrome. Most unique movie, Lamberto Bava and Blade in the Dark. The most overrated, Twilight Zone the movie. And the most underrated, Christine. Thank you for checking out this video. Now, please go over to Carlin's channel if you haven't already. Link will be in the description. Watch his video with the same title, and then go to the community tab on his page and vote on who you thought had the better picks, and we'd really appreciate it. And again, put your list down in the comments below. I'd love to read what your guys' picks are. What do you think the most amazing, and all these categories? It'd be really fun to read your list as well. Thanks again for checking out this video, and if you wouldn't mind, again, hit that like button and subscribe. I got 2 videos out a week now with these horror movie superlatives out every Wednesday, and my original series, Nails in a Coffin, which comes out every Friday. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys and gals for checking out this video. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Stay safe. Stay happy. Stay healthy. I am your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, and remember, with great kills, there must also come great nails.